Testing, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you guys hear me? Yep, just want to make sure that you guys can hear me and see my screen clearly. Alright, good evening everybody. If you guys can see me and see my screen and hear me clearly, please type in the chat box below so that I know that you guys are able to see me, hear me, and also see my screen. Alright, just to make sure that I have everything put in place. Hello, good day everybody. Yes, I hope that you guys are doing well as well. Alright, how has it been for all of you? Alright, hopefully the coming week ahead will be good as well, alright? Okay, let's wait for maybe 1 more minute before we begin the session. Okay? Give me a second, let me just shift. Okay, nice to see you again. Alright, I think this is better. Okay, let me shift the camera a little bit. Oh. Yes, no worries. Okay, without further ado, let's begin the session, alright? Okay, hey guys, welcome back to another pre-market live analysis with IC Markets. Alright, before I begin the session, remember that everything in this webinar is educational in nature and nothing should be construed as investment or trading advice. Alright, so please remember to do your own due diligence before you guys trade, okay? Alright, so for today's agenda, as usual, we will go through high impact news events for the week ahead and also what are the key technical setups to watch out for. Alright, so I'm your host for today. My name is Woon and I'll be going through with you today's segment on pre-market live analysis. Okay, so what are the key news events which are basically the high impact news that we need to watch out for the week ahead? Okay, so this is all the timing is in GMT 0. Alright, so on Monday we have no high impact news at all, so Monday might be a little bit slow. Okay, so for Tuesday, right, Tuesday we will have GBP claimant count change. Alright, so this will definitely affect pairs like GBP USD, GBP JPY, etc. Alright, so afterwards we have USD core CPI news, alright, as well as GBP Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking. Alright, so this news will affect pairs such as GBP USD greatly, also all the GBP pairs and USD pairs. Alright, so we will definitely have to take precaution for these pairs. Alright, then for Wednesday we have AUD wage price index. Okay, so this wage price index will move the markets quite a bit for AUD USD, as well as AUD JPY, AUD CAD. Alright, basically any AUD pairs, right? But it will not be that significant, okay? Because as we all know, for AUD pairs, it will be a bit slower. It will move a bit slower as compared to, let's say, GBP USD, right? AUD USD moves a bit slower, right? So even though it's high impact news, but we might expect lesser volatility. Okay, as for Thursday, right, we have AUD employment change. Alright, so this employment change news and unemployment rate news will move the markets more as compared to this wage price index. Alright, so basically for unemployment rate news, right, you usually see price fluctuate more, right, due to this high impact news. Alright, then we also have GBP GDP, and then we have a lot of USD news, right? We can see on 12:30 p.m. UTC +0 timing, right? We can see we have USD core PPI, USD retail sales, USD unemployment claims, right? So at this timing, right, you might want to stay off the markets for a little bit, right? And then only trade maybe, I would say, 30 minutes, right? For myself, I usually only trade about 30 minutes after high impact news, right? So you can still catch a little bit of volatility after this high impact news. Alright, then of course we have our favorite person, which is the Fed Chairman Powell speaking, right? As we all know, once he speaks, he will usually move the markets quite a bit, right? So you will have to be careful for that. Okay, so for Friday, we have USD preliminary UOM consumer sentiment as well as inflation expectations, right? So we can expect USD pairs to be volatile for both Thursday as well as Friday. Alright, so this is just for your information. Okay, so now let's move on to the fun part of this segment, alright, which is the charts itself. Okay, so anybody would like to type in I see that we already have one of our friends typing in requesting for analysis for US 30, Germany 40, BTC and Gold. Alright, so yes, we will go through any pairs that you guys want me to go through. Just type it in the chat box below and I will go through it with you. Okay, so yeah, so but the main thing to go through first is DXY, right? Because DXY is the US index and we want to make sure that we are looking at, because we have so many news on the upcoming week ahead, so what we want to see is proper analysis of the US index so that we know the direction that we are looking at. Okay, so generally for US index, what we are looking at is we are looking at this area. This is a more fairly, yeah, okay, this is a more fairly area. Okay, so for US index, right, what we are looking at is this pullback support, pullback resistance area right here. Alright, then what we want to see is, can we find any feeble retracement level over here? I believe if we put all fibs, right, it is slightly below the 61.8% feeble retracement level. Okay, so you might ask, why would I choose this level, right, instead of this pullback resistance level, right? The reason why I choose this as my pivot point is because previously price was acting as a resistance for DXY, then after that price broke through. Okay, so once price broke through, what was next, right? Price actually reacted as a support for a while, right? And then we have a breakthrough again. So once price break through this level, right, it will act as a ceiling, right? A ceiling meaning resistance. So if price comes up to this point, what we are looking at is price, it will continue to fall towards this first support level, because in the overall trend, right, we are looking at a downtrend for DXY. So of course we want to ride the trend and make sure that we are in the right direction. So the bias for this coming week is sell bias. Alright, so once we know for US index we are looking at a sell, right? So pairs such as all these, any pairs that end with USD, generally in time to come we will want to buy, right? Because if DXY goes down, any pairs that ends with USD, right, generally we will want to buy. But of course, all these pairs, we will definitely have to also look at the technical analysis part of it as well, not just relying on DXY alone. Okay, then we also have the first resistance that aligns with the 78.6% Fibo retracement level. Alright, so I think it's pretty straightforward. Alright, so moving on to Euro dollar. Okay, Euro dollar. Right, let me cover Euro dollar, then after that we will go through. Okay, yes, sure. Okay, so for Euro dollar, the pivot point that I'm actually looking at, right, is this level where it aligns with the 50% Fibo retracement level, as well as acting as a pullback support level, right? Remember just now we said that if DXY, we are looking for sells, pairs that ends with USD, so Euro dollar, right, we want to look for buys, right? So this is already correct. Alright, then of course first support, we will choose this support as it is a swing low support level, right? Some people might also choose this as their support level, right? It isn't wrong, okay, but to be safe, I would like to put this as my first support level over here. Alright, then for the resistance level, if you scroll to the left, you can see that it is a valid resistance point right here, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points already, right? So this is a valid resistance point, a valid overlap resistance level. Alright, so this is the analysis for Euro dollar. Oh yes, okay, so we are using the daily time frame, right? Any yeah, okay, yes my friend, so any pre-market analysis, what we will do is we will start the analysis from daily time frame. Okay, so all these analyses are done on the daily time frame. Alright, so okay, let's see. USD, no worries, you're welcome. USD CHF. Okay, glad that you asked. Alright, so this is one of the other pairs that I was looking at as well. Alright, so I believe this has quite good potential, right? Because if you look right here, Okay, USD CHF has very good potential, as because right here we are in a bearish outlook. Okay, number one, we already aim to look for sales. Why? Because USD CHF, right? And then DXY. Okay, so if DXY is going down, any pairs that has USD in front, in layman terms, will also go down. Okay, so pairs such as USD JPY, USD CHF, USD CAD. Alright, so these are the pairs that we want to sell. Okay, so for USD CHF, we want to look for sales, right? Okay. Alright, so right here we have chosen this area as our pivot point because this is a valid pullback resistance level. Alright, and it aligns with the 38.2% Fibo retracement level as well. Okay, let me see if we are able to find a projection. Yeah, no. Okay. So just to be sure. Yeah, okay, so this area, right, also we have projection. If you go to the H4 chart, you can generally see, right, if you were to draw a projection from this low to this high and back to this low, right, we will see that price, we have Fibo confluence at this area, right, 38.2% Fibo retracement level, as well as the 61.8% Fibo projection levels. So this is what we call Fibo confluence, right? So this area will be a likely sell area for USD CHF. Alright, let me, oops. Okay. Alright, so let me see, USD JPY. Okay, USD JPY. Alright, so let me see. Okay, so for USD JPY, we will want to be a little bit more careful, right? Instead of looking at this sell area, right? Let me see, USD JPY. If we draw projection, okay, this is a possible area for sales. Okay, this is our pivot point. Then this is a valid resistance area. Okay, let me see. First resistance. Wow, but this is at least, wow, yeah, this is at least 500 pips. Let me see. Yep, I think this is more actionable. Okay, and then we have this as our support level. Let me see. First resistance of fix 100%. Okay, oh, not just 100%, we want to look at 61 and 100. Okay, alright, so for USD JPY, right, USD JPY actually right now, okay, I believe price is trying to correct itself, right? Previously it tried to close above this high, right? If you look right here, it tried to close above this previous high, right? It closed above and then it started to go down, right? So if you look at, let's say, H4, okay, right now price is actually coming back to this level over here, right? It is possible to enter off the sales over here, but I would suggest to hold off on USD JPY because there is a possibility that price might continue to go upwards towards this first resistance level. Alright, so for those that are trading USD JPY, right, you need to be careful because USD JPY has a lot of market manipulation, right, especially in the Asian timing, right? So usually in the Asian markets, right, we can see price start to expand, right? So we will see if price starts to expand, then we will want to be cautious and only enter off at this first resistance level over here, right? Because if you were to look at the Fibo projection, right, what you can look at is it will either price has reacted to the 61.8% Fibo projection, right, or if not, price will continue to go towards this 100% Fibo projection level, right? So these are the pointers that you will have to look at. Alright, so even though right now on daily price is at this area right here, 145.32, right, but if you go to H4, price is slowly crawling itself up. Alright, so it might create another high right here, which is a double top to continue downwards, or the other option is that because you see on H4 it is creating this thing what we call tweezer top, right? This is a reversal pattern, right? So but after it reacted off this pivot point, it start to go back up, right? So one possibility is that come up and come down, or it will break through and react. So to take note of USD JPY, what we want to do is to react off this pivot point. Alright, most likely I would say what you'll do is hopefully it will come down, right, to continue its downtrend. Okay, so this is for USD JPY. Okay, if I were to draw, no, we can't use these. Okay. Alright, next thing, okay. Since we have news for GBP, let's go through GBP USD as well. Okay. Alright, so for GBP USD, I believe it's pretty simple, right? What we are looking at is we want to continue right here to sell, right? Ideally, what we want to do is to sell, right? I believe we have missed this buy opportunity, right? But at this area, for myself, I wouldn't have entered a buy opportunity here because I'm afraid that price would have continued to come down to this level, so I didn't enter the buys, right? But right here, what we can probably look at is, since we have a strong resistance point over here, right, price has been reacting to this resistance point once, twice, thrice, right? We are expecting it to fall off from here. Alright, and then what we're looking at, the next thing is first resistance level. Where are we referencing it from? We are referencing it off from this multi-swing high resistance level over here. Alright, as for our support level, what we can look at is this support level, the most recent support level, which is this, which is a overlap support level over here. Alright, so for GBP USD, I think it's pretty simple, right? What we want to look at is, if you were to look at this news folder over here, if the actual is less than the forecast, it is good for the currency. Okay, so what we want to see is the actual being less than the forecast. Previously in April, it was actually less than the forecast, so that was good, right? So right here, we also want to see actual less than the forecast. So then we will have a negative reaction of this resistance point. Okay, let's go through US 30, right, as requested. Okay, so for US 30, let me just clear all of these. Alright, so for US 30, what can we look at, right? I'll say for US 30, I will aim to look for buys at this area right here. This will be my pivot point. Alright, and this will be my let me see on H4. Yep, I'll actually use this for my first support level. Right, I wouldn't use this for my first support level because it is too far, right? I would instead use this for my first support level. Okay, then for my first resistance, I will actually use this swing high resistance level. Okay, so essentially what we are looking at is, because US 30, right, we want to be on the buy side of US 30 since the markets is recovering already. Right, previously we had such a strong dip after price reacted to this high, and then right, we had such a strong dip. But of course US 30 in general, right, you want to be on the buy side. Okay, and since we have already broken past this previous high, right, this significant high over here, okay, we have strong bullish candles. This would signify that price will continue to rise towards at least this first resistance level over here. And if we were to mark out this Fibo retracement level, the pivot point lies on the 23.6% Fibo retracement level. Let me just change the settings. Top. Okay, so right here you'll be able to see our pivot point lies at the 23.6% Fibo retracement level, and our support lies at the 50% Fibo retracement level. So all this aligns with our horizontal key levels. Alright, so pretty simple. Let me see if I can draw a projection. Oh wait, right here. Yeah. Okay, so this pivot point is what we're looking at. If not, price would either react to this pivot point or this first support, because at this first support level we also have the 61.8% Fibo projection that aligns with the Fibo a 50% feeble retracement level, so you will have to be careful for that. Alright. Oh yes, okay. I'll go through USD CAD in a bit. Alright. Okay, so what we want to see is bullish scenario over here. Bullish. Okay. This is for US30. Alright, then okay, let me just cover Germany 40, right? So we cover the indices. Alright, then we will move on to back to USD CAD. Okay, so for Germany 40, wow, Germany 40, I believe this is its all-time high. Yeah, this is really at the all-time high. Okay, so generally when price is at its all-time high, I would try to avoid trading it, right? You could possibly trade this if, let's say, price start to go down back to this level over here. Let me see, pivot point. Okay, so generally uptrend, and then for the first support we are looking at this level over here. Okay, as for our resistance, what we are looking at is, wow, I believe we are looking at yeah, I believe Germany 40, this is what we are looking at, right? The only resistance level that we can look at is the 127.2% feeble extension level, which essentially is a Nike tick, right? So that's why we want to be on the buy side of Germany 40. If you go to H4, right? If price actually comes back to this, if price actually comes back to this level over here, right, we want to buy upwards, right, to continue the trend, right? But we want to also limit our stop loss to at least this level of support, right? So I believe for Germany 40 right now, the risk to reward ratio is actually quite good, right? If you were to do a swing trade, meaning that if you were to enter a long position right here, your stop loss is here, you have about 1:2.37. That's pretty good, right? Okay, so this is what we are looking at for Germany 40. I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, USD CAD. Okay, USD CAD. Alright, so for USD CAD, right, Jamilu, I believe that we are able to look at sells for USD CAD, right? So it aligns with our DXY, right? So if once DXY reaches this pivot point right here, USD CAD should also react off this pivot point right here. So we are also looking for sells for USD CAD. Okay, so this aligns, this pivot point aligns with the 38.2% feeble retracement level, and it is a pullback resistance level right here. Okay, so the resistance level that we can look at is the 61.8% feeble retracement level over here. Alright, and it is acting as a overlap resistance level, right? You can see so many times that price has actually reacted off this overlap resistance level. Okay, so this is one resistance level to look at. Yeah, and we are looking at a downtrend for USD CAD. So generally, once we have a slight correction upwards, we will want to continue following the downtrend. Okay, so the idea for every trade that you should always look at is to look at the daily bias. Alright, if you can see very clearly, right, that it is a downtrend, right? So in your head, you should always be looking, for example, if it's downtrend, in your head, you should be always thinking about sells. Alright, then which levels can you look at for sells, right? So that is where we dive a little bit deeper on your horizontal levels, as well as whether these horizontal levels, right, aligns with any Fibo retracement areas. Alright, and also best if it has more than one Fibo confluence, right? So for example, it has Fibo retracement, and then let's say right here it aligns with 78.6% Fibo projection as well. Now this is good. Okay, so we have Fibo confluence right here, 78.6% Fibo projection, as well as 38.2% Fibo retracement level. So this is a strong sell opportunity right here for USD CAD. Alright, so okay, so we have gone through DXY, Euro Dollar, GBP USD, USD JPY, USD CHF, USD CAD. Okay, oh yes, okay, how about we go through NZD USD as well. Alright, so for NZD USD, let me just fix this. And 3.6 and 38.2. Okay, NZD USD. Alright, so for NZD USD, I would say this is still a valid pivot point to look at, right? But if you want to play it safe, right, I would say you can enter at this next level, which is at 0.5828. Okay, because for this level, right, it aligns with the 38.2% Fibo retracement, while this level aligns with the 23.6% Fibo retracement level. Alright, you can already see how price is reacting to this area of support, right? It is actually rejecting, right? It's not closing below this previous low, right? So the good news is that if it is not closing below this previous low, okay, what we would want to see is for price to at least rise towards this first resistance level over here. If you go to the H4 chart, you can already see price reacting off here. Alright, so maybe tomorrow, right, you can see in the Asian session, right, how AUD USD will react at this pivot point, right? If it still continues to hover around this pivot point, maybe you want to enter off this area of support. Okay, so this is based off the daily chart. Okay, so let me see. Okay, let's go through oil, gold, and then crypto. Right? Sounds good. Okay, so for captions. Let me see. Sorry, I think the captions won't be able to work well right now. Right, but when it is posted again, right, you'll be able to view the captions. Alright, I believe you can turn on the captions once IC Markets publish the recording. Alright, so don't worry if what I'm saying might not be that clear. Alright, you can rewatch the video again once it is published. I think later on in the later part of the day. Okay. Alright, so let's go through oil for a little bit. Yeah, for live itself, the captions, I think, let me see if I'm able to change it a little bit. Okay, close. Yeah, for live, for YouTube live, sadly we are not able to turn on the captions, but once the video is published, right, the captions will be able, you'll be able to turn on the captions. So apologies for that, right? Once the video is published in the next few hours, right, then you'll be able to rewatch the video and then be able to turn on the captions. Alright, because for YouTube live, I'm not able to turn on the captions, right? The captions will only be activated once the video is published. Alright. Okay, so apologies for that. Okay, so for oil, what I am looking at for oil is that generally I'm looking for a sell opportunity at this area over here, right? Because this area looks like a nice area since it is this is a strong support area previously, right? We have multiple touches. Okay, then once price broke through, it will act as a resistance here. Okay, so put it simply, right, this area is our pullback resistance area over here. Okay, so if I were to draw, let's see, if I were to draw our projection, I believe it is at the 100% Fibo projection. Yeah, you can see right here, our pivot point aligns very nicely with the 100% Fibo projection. Let me talk. Alright, so we are waiting for price to continue to recover, at least towards this pivot point over here. Alright, then as for our resistance area, we are looking at this swing high resistance level over here. Okay, then for our support, put it simply at this swing low support level. Alright, so let's see for our Fibo. Yeah, 61.8%. Okay, 61.8. Yeah, so at our pivot point, it aligns very nicely with the 61.8% Fibo retracement level as well as the 100% Fibo projection level over here, right? So this area is what we call a strong sell opportunity because we have Fibo confluence at this level. Alright, so put it right here, bearish arrow. Okay, so this is for oil. Alright, so moving on to gold. Alright, so moving on to gold, let's see how gold is actually performing. Wow, gold reacted so nicely off this level over here. Right? Okay, so let's look at I would say let's look at any buy. Let's see. Okay, let's look at any buy opportunities that we can find for gold, right? Because we want to be on the buy side of gold. Let's see. Put this over here. Okay. Okay, this is our pivot point. Alright, then this is our resistance. Okay, so for gold, why we will pick this as our pivot point is because, right, we would want to look at the buy side of gold. right, we will definitely want to be on the buy side because generally we are in a uptrend, right? So referencing this previous low, right, we will use this previous low as a pivot point because this is a support level, right? Then our level below that is a pullback support level over here. Alright, so let me just mark out the 50%. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so right here we can see let me see if we can mark out a projection. Alright, 100%. okay, 61.8 and 100%. Okay, so for our pivot point, right, what we want to look at is we have 61.8% feeble projection, alright, as well as 50% feeble retracement. So this level over here, right, could be a possible buy opportunity for gold. Okay, but we will also want to be careful if price falls back to this first support level over here. Alright, so these are two different levels that you might want to be careful of, right? If price continues to, let's say, close above, right? And what I mean by close above, meaning that the body of the candle, right, has to close above this pivot point, right? So once it closes above this pivot point, then we will be confident enough for gold to rise at least towards this first resistance level, right? Okay, so candle closure, what we want to see is at least on the H4 time frame or at least the daily time frame, right? Then we will want to take a buy for gold, right? If price starts to close, let's say the body starts to close like this, right, then of course you wouldn't want to enter for gold, right? The next level, then we will look at the next level, which is this first support area right here. Okay, because for gold, right, we all know that gold is very volatile, and if you see right here, right, in this instance, looking at this whole area, right, if you were to reference this previous low, right, if I were to, let's say if I were to just clear everything, okay, right here, if price is at this area, okay, then the only low that we can reference is this low, right? Correct? Okay, so for beginners, or rather if you were testing out, right, I would suggest drawing boxes, right? Because boxes generally helps me to have a gauge, right? Instead of being so accurate to the point where if the price touches the line, then I enter, right? But a box gives me the gauge. Okay, so if price managed to stay within this area, then I will start to wait for the retest and enter. Okay, so you of course you wouldn't want to enter right off the bat at this area, right? When price touch this box, then you enter for buys, right? It doesn't make sense. Okay, so let's say you want to do this and then you target this high over here, right? The risk to reward ratio is beautiful, right? 1:3.8. But how often would you feel anxious when, let's say, price reaches this area? Because this could be also an obstacle, right? A pullback resistance level. You will never know, right? So I would say once price reach here, you can close 30% of your trade. Once price reach here, you can close 100% of your trade. So there are different levels of which you would want to look at. Okay, so back to my point again, right? Wait for price to have a reaction of this area. Okay, so react, bounce off and test. This is when you should enter. So let's see how price actually plays out. Right, price came down, right, with a very bearish candle. So at this point, right, you will never know whether price will continue to bounce off or to continue downwards, right? So the next thing we want to look at is a bounce off first, right? See, bullish engulfing candle, right? That is our first confirmation. Bullish engulfing candle, right? Close above our box. Okay, that's good, right? Next, we are waiting for price to come back into our box again. Let's see if price actually comes back into our box. Okay, right? Price actually comes back near our box, and then this is where price actually flew off. Right? If you want to draw to the pip, right, you can take this last down move, right? Then price, see how price reacts. Okay, so back to my let me just draw this out for you guys again. Okay, pivot point. Alright, pivot point. Then this is our support. Then this is our resistance. Alright, and then we have, let's look at the projection areas. Alright, 61.8 and 100%, and then we also have 50% feeble retracement. Alright, then this is what we are looking at for gold. Bullish arrow. Let's make sure. Alright, so I hope that was clear enough for you guys, right? Because a lot of people has this misconception on how they should enter, right? You have the analysis on daily time frame. Then on H4 is where you should place your entries, right? If you do your analysis on H4, right, your entries could be 15-minute or H1 time frame, right? As for daily, I will do daily analysis, and then for entries I will go to either H4 or H1 for my entries. Alright, because on daily time frame you might not be able to see that clearly, but once you switch to a lower time frame, right, then you can see how the candles react accordingly. Alright. Okay, so the next thing that we want to look at is BTC USD. Alright, this is the last thing that we want to look at. Okay, so for BTC USD right now, it is at a very high level of 104,000, which is insane because price has been doing so well for BTC USD. Alright, so I would say this area is where we will meet our first obstacle. Alright, so this area is a possible sell opportunity. Right, let's see right here. Let's see weekly how it reacts. Yeah, I think this is fine. Okay, this is our pivot point. Alright, then to reference, the only way that we can reference is if we go to weekly. Okay, then we look at let's see. Okay, I think this is fine. Okay, so for our resistance, the only resistance that we want to look at, right, is if we go to weekly. Okay, then from here you can see from this low drawn to this high and back to this low. Then we can see price is projected to go to this first resistance level at 112,000, right? But of course our first obstacle that we will look at, okay, the first obstacle that we want to look at is this 107 level, right? This is the first obstacle that we want to look at, right? Because once price reaches, every time price reaches this area, it will start to fall off, right? So this might be the same scenario for Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin, as we all know, is very volatile and is very prone to manipulation in the markets, right? So these are the resistance level that you want to look at. Alright, as for our support level, okay, our support level is this support level back at 98,000. Alright, so these ranges are quite huge because BTC is generally very volatile and we want to be pretty cautious with BTC USD. So what I'll say is to look at sell opportunities for BTC USD instead. Alright, let's see. Okay, I think this is valid enough. As for now, BTC USD still remains strong, right? I would say if I could buy, my buys would be, if I were to go to H4, my buys would be at this level right here. If I were to continue the trend, I would say to continue the trend upwards from here, at least to 107 level. If price actually gives me an opportunity to come to this level at 102, I would take the buy from here, right? Because for BTC USD, if you realize, right, if price tend to work in all these channels or in such patterns, right? So if we have a bull run over here and price starts to consolidate, right, generally it will start to continue at least towards this high at 107 or at least to 109. Okay, so 107 and 109 are the areas that you might want to take a look at for sales. But I hope if BTC USD gives me a sell opportunity, a buy opportunity at 102, right? If price actually comes to 102, I will try to take a buy opportunity right here. Alright, but generally what we want to see is hopefully for price to reverse off at least this whole area right here. Okay. And of course, same thing, what we want to see is for price to have a body closure below the pivot point. Then we are confident enough to look for sells. Then your entry should be at the H4 time frame. Okay. Alright, so that's all. I've covered crypto, BTC USD, and all the majors over here, as well as oil and gold and US 30 and Germany 40. Right, I believe this will be enough for the week ahead. Okay, so that's all from me to you guys. I hope that you guys have taken down all the key levels, and I hope I was able to explain in detail for the pairs that you guys have requested. Alright, so that's all from me to you guys. Right, remember to stay safe and trade safe. I shall see you guys again next time. Alright, thank you, and I appreciate you guys for joining in today's webinar. Alright, thank you, bye bye. You're welcome. Thank you for joining in today, guys. Bye bye.